Right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Social Saturday chat. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Saturday today, and look forward to having us join us. Today's topic is going to be about career pivots and how to reimagine yourself without starting from scratch, which I think a lot of people nowadays, especially with how people are looking at skill-based hiring and how people have been laid off and are pivoting, this could be a really great conversation. So do me a favor, go ahead and share it with your network. Let them know that we're going on live and invite them to come so they can benefit from the discussion as well. And we look forward to having some of our other co-hosts join us later today. Some might be busy with family, some are busy with work, some be still sleeping, we don't know. But we will definitely look forward to having them joining us. But before we do that, let's do some introductions. Martha, let's start with you. How are you doing today on the Saturday?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm glad that I'm here. I got up early this morning and excited to showcase my background. I'm trying to work on getting better with, showcasing my digital presence. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't have a fun fact today, but I'm either going to go look at some beta fishes because I had a conversation with Leslie earlier, and she actually inspired me. So I'm like, I might just take a little trip to like the pet place and look at fishes with my son and have lunch. So that's my fun fact. But for friends that don't know me, I am the founder of Connect Impact Hub, and I am on a mission to end homelessness. I'd love to connect with you if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me, or maybe you want to connect and be part of what we're doing. I'll pass it over to you, Joel. Here you go.
Yes, Martha. Before I go, and now, when you say you're going to the fish place with your son and then you're eating lunch, please tell me you're not eating the fish.
No, I will not be able to eat no fish.
That's it. It wouldn't be
no
a meal.
Way. No.
Beta fish are like this small, Joel. It's a very tiny fish. It wouldn't be much of a meal.
Right. So everyone probably does, maybe in this audience by now, but just in case you don't, I don't have Mac's usual screens today. I don't have Mac today. So my name is Joel. I'm a neurodivergent artist and passionate about helping change the way the world views people like me. And currently I'm speaking from sunny yet windy New York. Very deceiving here. I'm wearing short sleeves. I've been outside and I nearly blown away, literally. So that's my fun fact, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. I don't know what Max, what his topic is, because I just literally came out of a 2-day conference at Toro, so I'm over there somewhere.
Well, it's great to have you in the States with us, and I'm glad you're enjoying the sunny but blistery weather. I will say the fun fact for me was that 2 days ago, it was 86 degrees and sunny and warm, and the next day, it dropped down to 32 degrees, 50 degrees variance, and it was snowing for like 4 hours. So the drasticness of the weather, call it whatever you want, and why it's happening, it was insane. So for those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I'm an HR executive, LinkedIn top voice, co-author, and a children's book international best-selling author. And I'm also a very passionate LinkedIn enthusiast where I try to provide and give back through here. A lot of it is, really around the idea that I had early on of I want to build a consulting firm where we offer HR training, coaching, recruitment, workplace services, even audit and compliance, so that I can retire and enjoy life doing something I love doing and still make some money on the side, right? Um, Life's changed a lot. That career pivot, that reality became real a lot sooner than expected because of some things that happened that I had a career pivot. And I think that's one of the things that you don't realize where that pivot might take you. But like the title says, we don't have to start from scratch. You have skills that can carry you to your next career, whether it's the same industry or a different industry. They're transferable. We have people that know how to deal with conflict, know how to deal with numbers, know how to deal with people and network and market. Those skills apply to almost every industry in some cases. So it's important for you all to realize and have confidence in the skills that you do have, because that's one of the things I always share about my Fluid-Based 5 when I talk about it. The first one is have confidence in yourself because you have experience that you bring with you, and we got to remember that. So as we talk about that, I want to remind people, have confidence in the experience you do already have, because that is a lot to be proud of, and that is value you bring to the table. Um, so as far as this topic is concerned, I figured we could just go around and I came up with Felipe's 5, so we could just chat about each topic and go through it as quickly as we need to. But the first one, really, the point was about what I just said, actually, was about your experience is, think of it as transferable currency. Okay, it may not be U.S. dollars to the euro, but you can transfer it and exchange it, and it still has value. So think of it that way. Martha, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, like I'm just going to use LinkedIn again. It's my favorite platform, but we're learning on LinkedIn regularly. Like I'm learning so much just about AI. I am also learning from experts in their fields, mental health. I've been really into that lately. And also like the way our minds think. I know Leslie Flowers is here with us. If you haven't met her, I highly recommend connect with her. She has lovely events every Friday and Mondays, I believe, also. And you're learning, and it's free information. So we're always, it's like if you really want to upscale your skills, tune in, or you can also go to University of YouTube. um, but yeah, for me, I would say on a personal level is I'm always learning. I love learning. I wish I could go to school forever. I mean, I am going back to school, but there's so many areas that I want to learn, Felipe, and I'm very like, I'm going to pick what I need to learn today. Right.
And that's important. Know what you want to do, because I always tell people, when you think about what transferable skills you have or what skills you want to learn, what problems do you solve well? What have people told you in your personal and professional life that you solve well, or like what skills show up every day that you had to use regularly that you take for granted, but someone else might not have that skill set? Or what have you always delivered on? What have you consistently provided results on? Think of those things and then backtrack into the skills that helped you do that. Because when you do that, or the skill that you need in your case, Martha, and focus on that one skill. Because when you try to put yourself across too many skills, you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to be really strong at any one of them. Mm-hmm. So do it one at a time so you can build that toolbox of durable, strong skills. You don't want tools that break on you. I want to welcome some people that joined us. It's great to see Kenny here as always. And yes, Kenny, we were a little bit late, but thank you for being patient. We appreciate you. Joel's in New York. He's broadcasting and producing from a whole different country right now. So getting all the things working definitely took some time. But Tom Cullen, great to see you. Stephen Eng, thank you for joining us. Jane, it's always wonderful to see you. Buenos dias. Gregory Liverpool, how are you, my friend? Jackie's here. She's like confidence over cockiness every time. And of course, Leslie Flowers, as you mentioned. And Joe Caruso's in the house. And Americo is here as well. And Leslie Alexander and Leanna. So we've got a full house, y'all. Do me a favor, go ahead and repost a room or invite friends to join us in this conversation. Joel, could you put the link for them to join us on stage in the chat so they could join us on stage? And that way y'all can ask your questions about career pivoting if you're going through it. Maybe you know someone that's going through it. Because a lot of times, it might not apply to you directly, but you definitely have people that might need that bit of advice or help. How about, let's talk about skills, Martha, and Joel too. I'm sorry, Joel, do you have any insights on about, just transferable skills you wanted to share?
Well, funnily enough, actually, this week I have done just that. From going from performing behind the drum kit to standing more or less more exposed, not in that way, behind the lectern, giving a speech. Only for my second time public speaking without a screen in front of me and speaking virtually is, shall I say, forced transferable, not really natively and naturally. It was a forced transferable, and I forced it to happen, which is like pulling a tooth out. Really, it's got to be done.
But look at the benefits that come with that, Joel. And I think you bring up an excellent point. You bring up the whole concept of courage. You gotta take a little bit of risk. You gotta be courageous to try something new because it is scary. Look, the amygdala in our brain, that little part of the brain that's like fight, flight, or hide kind of thing, it's programmed to give you some kind of messaging when something new enters into your life. When you're learning something new, it's gonna be like, whoa, this is not normal. And so you're already going into it with a little bit of hesitation. Let that feeling be something exciting. Let that be something like, oh, this is something new. Maybe I can use this, and be curious, which is the second one I always talk about. Talk about being confident, being curious. Be curious. Don't be fearful. I don't know this. Throw the fear in the trash. Be curious and say, hey, I got ChatGPT, I got Google, I got your Copilot. I can learn about this on YouTube. I can learn about this so much easier than I used to. And Joel, I applaud you because that example you gave, drummers are usually, like you said, in the background. They're not in the forefront. They're not in the spotlight. And then to go into past all the other stages of that stage to the front of the stage without a prompter and to speak, that's a huge courageous step. But look at what it's done for you and the opportunities it's opened up for you. I think that's amazing. I love that you shared that, Joel. So let's talk about pivoting through skills, not titles.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry, Martha, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was going to see if we could share the comments because there's some really good comments. So I want to make sure we don't miss them.
No, we definitely have some good comments.
So Americo shared, we understand Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you able to share it, Joel, on the screen?
It's the one that says Americo says transferable skills need to be. You learn the necessary language and vocabulary to translate them into terms that are relatable, even if you're feeding AI a prompt. And I think the translated meaning, just like transferring currency into different, it's got to be applied in a different environment. That skill set, and you got to translate that to ability to use it. So, but Martha, what are your thoughts about that comment or any of the other comments?
Yeah, well, I was looking at another comment he put here, which he said, yeah. Oh yeah, that's it right there. Thank you, Gregory. Thank you. Yeah.
I want to talk about this comment. Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead, Gregory. Go ahead.
No, you're the host. I'll wait.
We welcome everybody.
Well, Martha, go ahead.
We
can go to Gregory after you make your point.
We want to hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
I just wanted to make sure we attended to the comment.
okay. Gregory Liverpool from Winnipeg, Manitoba. By the way, Joel, you did well last night. Seriously. Good on you. In the words of hockey, stick taps to him last night on Aaron on Aaron's show last night. Second of all, my fun fact, in 2 days, happy Neurodivergent Celebration Week from the 16th to the 20th. Some literature has until the 22nd. So that's my fun fact here. This comment is the comment of the session in regards to transferable skills. The reason why that is that my resume is a neurodiverse resume, which is basically 70 to 75, maybe 80% skill based, which means it's not going to produce through the ATS system. This was a topic of consultation on the Purple Acorn HR show with Daniela Frange, Michael Podesto, and Brian Fink. All of them are basically resume talent acquisition, recruiting type of gurus on the program. Thus, that's why I put in as a reply comment to this comment right here, that it's about time to face the facts with AI coming onto the on the surface, that we need to find a different recruiting talent acquisition system for the 2026, 2027, 2028, and future years down the road. Because the system that we have here is failing on both sides of the equation, both on the recruiting side and on job seeker side. That's why I will say that that's why I say the type of articles that we see here, that the resume should be put out to pasture, which I totally agree, and as a very controversial type of statement. The second controversial statement is that we need to refigure or redesign the ATS system to allow people who have transferable skills to be well acknowledged and be put out to other people and stuff. This is one of the reasons why in my home and native land that we had an 83,000 plus job loss report because of this. That is the equivalent of America losing 700,000 jobs in 1 month. So there is some type of situational system flaw within this system that is not recognizing transferable skills in the ATS in ATS protocols, and that needs to be flushed out in due time, especially when we have the onset of AI that is basically flushing resumes to the rate of 70% without human interaction.
Gregory, so you make an excellent point, and I think going back to the topic here today, it's about how are we doing it today? Most people can't wait until 26, 27, 28 for it to be fixed. It's about what are we doing with it today? I agree with you 100%. That needs to be fixed. There is a problem with the ATSs, and there's no question about that. But the reality is, I don't have time to wait for that to be fixed. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to approach that brick wall differently? How are we going to go around it, above it, underneath it? And one of it is about networking, which is the most powerful tool. If you don't want to take anything else away, wait until a little bit later when we talk about networking, because that's going to be the most powerful one. But I want to go to the other topic there.
I have three.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So out of the skills base that you were talking about, Gregory, we are going to a more skills-based thing. Titles do not carry the weight that they used to. So there is already a change happening that way. And that's where we need to highlight those skills. You're doing that already, Gregory. Other people listening, highlight the skills that you have, especially the transferable ones, because when you are networking and you share that resume with someone, or someone looks at your resume that's on Indeed or on your LinkedIn profile, you want to make sure that they see that, not just your title. Because again, I'm an HR executive. The things I do on LinkedIn, Canva, that I do with marketing and branding is not in the wheelhouse of most HR people. If I don't highlight some of that, how are they going to know that I can help them with those skill sets? So it's important for us to make sure that we're not just hitting that brick wall and complaining about it. We've got to come up with solutions of how to go around it and above it and over it. And right now, the ATS, we talked about LinkedIn's ATS. God bless you, LinkedIn. We love you for a lot of reasons, but your easy apply button sucks crap. Okay. It is not useful. But when you apply to the company website with your resume, that shouldn't be where you stop. That's where we have to go to that networking. We have to connect on LinkedIn. We have to find out who do we know that works in that company. We got to find out who is active on LinkedIn that you can follow. We got to find out how can we ask someone to flag that resume for you so that they at least pull it and really look at it, not have the system look at it. These are the things that when you career pivot, you've got to work. Your full-time job is to find that job. And that means picking up the phone, sending that email, and reaching out to people that you don't necessarily know, or maybe you have connected on LinkedIn. And now it's time to ask them, hey, could you do me a favor? Could you let HR know that I applied, just to flag it so they actually look at it? Things like that are going to help us so much more. And that's what we need to focus on the solutions, I think, of the issues. Because, again, the ATS is not going to be fixed tomorrow. So how can we move forward from that? Martha, I know you had a lot to say about this, so I want to hand it over to you.
As I was just listening to Gregory talk and your share too, it's ultimately, it's really, we have to network. That's key. Who it's unfortunately that I have to even say this out loud, but who could open that door for you. But being here, like on LinkedIn, on these live events, I mean, I've seen that. We've seen it, Felipe. We've seen people get interviews. Some people have been hired for projects. Some people have been able to collaborate. I mean, but you have to take that step. And so, like, for example, we have our work behind the scenes, what we do. But outside of that, we come to social media. We are here hosting these events, and we're bringing our skills and we're upscaling our skills as well as we're all here connected. So yeah, this is going to be this is a hot topic, Felipe. I know you have a couple things you want to share, so I want to pass it back to you, so that we can bring everybody up.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention also with that, Martha, is that, you mentioned about networking with people that we know. It's not that we know the top dogs all the time. It's networking with people in your network, and more importantly, people you don't know.
Exactly.
I woke up the other day. Merrill Cass, God bless him, sent me a message, and no lie, I'm not gonna get political or religious here, but I say my daily prayers, and right after my prayers, I get this message. I join this live and listen to it, and it's this group of guys who are talking about life, careers, and their faith. I'm like, okay, that's different, and I didn't know any of them. One of them ended up saying, hey, I might not know some contract work that might be beneficial with the skills you have. Okay, that was people that I had no idea except for Merrill Cass. So I want everyone to realize that sometimes that the opportunities are opportunities where you have to go out in person, or you might have to meet someone new, and networking is your huge shortcut. Okay, if you want a shortcut, networking is the shortcut to get into that company, because that's how you can be visible. That's how you can be seen and heard. And you don't want just to be a piece of paper amongst all the other thousands of papers out there. You want to be a standout. Gregory, you.
Well, this is how we fix it, and it's basically three things here. We in that episode, and I connected with a person of the name of Sergey, who lives in Calgary, Alberta, fellow Canadian. He basically did 3 points in which I totally agree. We would need to have increased skills evaluating assessments, which needs to be very, very disability friendly, neurodiverse friendly. as well as, and I will say, I totally agree with Stephen N's comment in terms of LinkedIn presence. I think that's another avenue, as well as getting rid of behavioral type of interviewing processes, which basically, and I'm speaking for myself as a neurodivergent, and I know that we have another neurodivergent on the stage. He could speak for himself on that particular matter, but we need to have a new type of interviewing processes called the set interview, which is skills, experience, and tools type of thing, which will basically make it more equitable for everybody to achieve and thrive under that new interviewing type of protocols and stuff. And I think that will be a start for at this present juncture. In regards to how to apply, it should be your name, email address, and your LinkedIn account, and other legal type of information for a new age ATS system for the 2026 and beyond in that realm, and an effect in that type of situation here. So yeah.
Thank you, Gregory, for coming up and sharing those insights with us, and also what needs to be changed. I was just having this conversation with someone about, Felipe's back. I'll jump in there later, but Felipe, go ahead.
Oh, no. So Gregory, thank you for sharing that. That's a lot of information. And again, that's stuff that they need to plan for the future. But we want to focus on what can we do today. And that being said, I do want to get to David. The only thing I do want to say is that with your network, you got to remember that there's so much power in you going out there and connecting with people. And it's connecting to get to know them, learn about them. Don't just share about yourself. That's the other thing. The quickest way to kill networking is to make it all about you. Be curious. I can't stress that. Be confident and be curious. Those are two things I want you to remember: confidence and curiosity about other people, and learn about them. David, thank you so much for being patient. How are you? What are
True, but networking is a two-way street.
I'm sorry, what, Gregory?
That is a true point what you made, but networking is a two-way street. Hence the words of the great Phil Davis in Atlanta, Georgia. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. David, please, sorry for the interruption. Over to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Happy Saturday, everybody. For those who do not know me, David Pushkin, public sector leader, 20 years experience, chief encouragement officer. Just on this topic, what you've just said there, Felipe, around confidence and curiosity is really important. For people who are looking to make a pivot, you've got to step into it. If you want to try and do something new, it's going to be uncomfortable to begin with. But what's really important is, as Martha was saying, YouTube University, and, reach out to people, network. You'll find something, you'll get a skill, you'll do something new, but it's all about just doing things and trying it. It's not going to come naturally first time. As they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. So you've just got to keep thinking, what do you want? And as we've talked about previously, is why. Keep asking yourself why you're doing something. Why do you want to do it? And just keep at it. It's not always going to come easy, but as long as you've got a supportive network, look to a coach, look to a mentor, and just try some new things. Not everything's going to stick, but at least if you try and then improve yourself and keep learning, things will always go your way, irrespective. It's not always going to go right first time, but keep learning, keep that curiosity, keep asking questions, and you can never go wrong with that. Stay encouraged. I'll yield the mic there.
David, that was simply brilliant. I mean, it's keep trying is such a huge thing, and keep learning. Those two things right there, because I always say, we can sit there and complain about things, but you need to try something different. We always talk about, doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's not going to happen. I know that 20 years ago, what I try to do today with recruiting and workplace wellness, nobody would have heard me. I would have been talking to deaf walls, but I didn't give up. I made progress in baby steps, and I kept trying along the way. And today, not only am I able to make an impact in the workplace, I do live streams about it. But you asked me 20 years ago, I would have laughed and said, no, it's a fad. Wellness in the workplace is a trend. It'll go away. And that's what people were telling me. But the learning part, I think that's also, we are forever learning. If I didn't keep on learning, if all of us didn't keep on learning, we would become dinosaurs. We would become obsolete. Computers that can't update and keep on learning, those laptops get thrown in the trash and reused or recycled. So we have to make sure that we are feeding our minds. And I think the other thing that came to mind when you're talking, David, was when you get a problem, what's your solution that you're going to try? And I think that's an important lesson for us is I think any leader will talk about that. It's like, don't come to me with just the problems, come to me with solutions and let's try those out. They may not be the perfect solution, but at least I know that you're thinking about how can we fix this? Martha, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts is just don't stay stagnant. I mean, yes, like I know we're speaking of like I'm going back to school, but I've been hearing a lot of different stories, negative ones, that education, like having a college degree may not mean anything in the near future because of AI. There's actually a university that is recognized that is providing free education. And so now people can get a software engineer degree for free. And I did share that on my LinkedIn profile a couple of weeks back, but now it's like, the education system is changing. And so, but it's a choice. Like I'm learning every day. I have, health programs. I'm attending Zooms for health, and I'm attending Zoom meetings for the unhoused community to keep my skills up to date, because I must know what's happening with laws, regulations on a national level and also on a local level, because then I get to go back and educate whoever I'm speaking to about what's happening in the community, because some people don't know. And so that's never going to stop if you're interested in that. But some people are more hands-on, Felipe. They would rather use, paint a house, do some art, right? There's so many different ways, but, it's evolving too. Like, how can I bring that into social media? How can I bring my art? How can I upscale my presence on social media?
Is that, like Jane said right there, upskilling with free training? I mean, we live in a world that our parents and our younger selves didn't have access to all this ability to learn so quickly. We had to pull out the Encyclopedia Britannica and try to learn from those books. And that was not any way to learn. That you learned about information to write a paper. That's about it. But we have so much at our fingertips. It's up to us to share it, use it. Martha, Joel, and I, and Mac, and the rest of the team, we come up here and we talk about a lot of stuff because we researched it, we learned about it, and that's why we want to talk about it and share what we learned. And that's what we're hoping that you all provide value. Dogs don't necessarily agree with me right now, apparently, but no, they're barking at the neighbor's dog, Max. So let me run this thought out to all of you all here. Before you make a big decision, how much time do we have? Oh, we have fine time. By the way, we have about 20 minutes left. If you all want to come up on stage, join us, please do. The link is in the comments.
Come up.
Yeah, come up. And then also...
Rosette, I see you. Call him out.
And make sure you follow us on our LinkedIn homepage for Social Saturday Chat if you haven't already. And if you do, hit that little bell in the top right-hand corner so you get notified of all the events that we do on Saturdays, as well as the other co-host events. And then go ahead and check out our past episodes on your favorite podcast, where you can find out who we've interviewed, what topics we tackled, and the networking events we've held. All right. So let's talk about, before you make a career pivot and a major change, if you don't always have the time, but if you're thinking about it, maybe you run some experiments. Say, people are like, oh, I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to jump into this industry. Maybe try learning about it first. Maybe get a contract and say, hey, let me try this work before I see if I really like it. Because if you're going to put all your money into a business and you haven't really done the work yet, you might want to start small before you jump right into the ocean. Try the river before you go into the ocean. And I think that running experiments, whether it's freelance work, hey, even doing things on LinkedIn here and sharing, hey, I want to try this out, see how you all receive it. It's a great free way to do it. But The other thing I wanted to mention also was make sure, and we're going to talk about this next also, is we're going back to your skills. You're going to have to reimagine how you tell your story a little bit. And when you're career pivoting, because you want to show how your skills that you have are valuable. And don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't let one thing be your identity. For example, if all I talked about, well, this is what I do on LinkedIn, and when I'm interviewing for a job, they're like, that's great, but we're a manufacturing company and we're talking to you about HR. Why are you talking to us about what you do on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is not my sole identity. If I'm only talking about that constantly, or if I'm only talking about workplace wellness or only about recruiting, you got to make sure you're highlighting all your skills. Don't make them think that you only are on one boat and that is the boat that you're going to stay on, because that's not what companies need nowadays. They need people that are agile, that have variable skills and are not focused on just one thing. They can do multiple things. There are still jobs that need experts, but here's my last prediction. I'm going to hand it to you, Martha, is I think
I want to say something about what you just said, but go ahead.
I think trade schools are going to make a huge comeback because of the individual skill-based hiring that we're doing. I think trade schools, we're going to see a huge growth in trade schools. Over to you, Martha.
Yeah, well, I also wanted to mention, as you were talking about where people can get their training and stuff and learning new skills, also volunteer work. Service, not work, volunteering. That's where I learned case management, through my volunteer. I also learned how to start a system. It was, can't think of the name right now, but I learned how to train people on how to start a software system, which is the medical record system, which I had no idea, but I learned that through a local organization where I used to volunteer here in California before I moved to Texas. I also wanted to mention something about the upskills. I did read an article about that, Felipe, about plumbers, and oh my goodness, there was other positions, but plumbers in particularly, they are high on the rise in as far as income. They're going to be making over 100K a year. There was something else that I was going to say regarding employers too. This is another thing that we don't see, and this falls on my area of the unhoused community, is I would like to see more support from employers to their employees. Yes, they provide some training, right? Sometimes there's also certifications that they will pay for, but people are not taking advantage of that. So how we need to promote our friends here who are working in the corporate world to utilize those certifications, to go and use their education benefits for something, because you never know with all these layoffs that are happening. Go get certified to become, an advocate, or, whatever you're interested in, something else. Just start thinking outside the box. Now, the multitasking, Felipe, I did read something else somewhere else that's not always good to have on a resume. So I wanted to get your opinion on that, because I used to put that on my resume, but I read that it's not good to have that, because then you don't focus on one item. If you put, I'm a multitasker. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, Martha. There's multitasking. They've shown, and there's studies out there to prove that you can't multitask and do two things as effectively well as if you did only one. And so being able to say, I can work in an environment with interruptions kind of says, you can multitask and do things in that environment. And I think there's better ways of saying that instead of using the word multitasking, because I do think that's a buzzword right now, that there's enough studies out there that enough people are saying no one can multitask well, but can you do it if you had to? Yes. So it's not a skill that you want to boast, because it's not going to be your strongest skill that produces the best work all the time. It's going to show that you can work in an environment of chaotic things if things get chaotic and still manage through it. And that's a good thing to have. But you don't want to lead with it as one of your top skills per se. And also something else that came up, and I want to get to Chris here because it's great to see Chris, my friend, is, I talked about reframing your story before. I want to make sure that people remember this, is don't start off by saying, I used to. No, talk about what you're going to do for them. This is what I can do for you. Not, I used to be this. I used to do this. I used to be, that makes you look like you're already up to speed. So don't talk about yourself in the past tense. Talk to yourself about in the future tense about how you can help and solve problems for them, the impact you can bring, and it also allows you learning about their pain points. If you know their pain points right now, based on their website or on your job description or whatever, are things that you've dealt with, lead with that in your conversations, in your messaging, on your resume. Lead with, I have experience in solving these types of problems. That is going to stand out to them, and they're like, oh wait, we have that problem and they can solve it. What you do in the past now is you've shown you have the skills to be able to help. So, Chris, great to see you, my friend. It's been a while. How are you, first of all? What are you doing on Saturday? And what are your questions or thoughts about this topic of career pivoting and reinventing yourself?
I tell you, I've learned a lot, Felipe, from you, and Martha's been helping me do a lot. And I tell you, you said something brought my attention about trade school. I graduated school. I graduated college in my field as a mechanic. That's all I've done. And I've played music. And trade schools are coming back. I've seen this. They are, because it's on-hand learning. You can learn from that. And that's how I learned from my dad, because he was a mechanic. That's where my career took off, because I learned from him and knowing the knowledge that I know. And then I went to trade school and read these books. Books give you exactly the knowledge you need to know. But when you get in the field to do that trade, it's totally different. So when trade schools are coming back, because it's on-hand learning, and you can learn exactly what's the diagnostics, what the dimensions of, whatever you're doing, you can learn it from that. And that's how I learned. Even though I graduated, just to get my knowledge more of my field, of what I wanted to do, and know how to work the tool, because books gave me what I needed. When I got into the field, it wasn't exactly what the book said, because it was totally different.
Well, Chris, I love that you shared that, and thank you for sharing that, because I think the trade schools are hands-on, and those are the jobs that AI right now is not going after. I mean, I've not seen any AI plumbing or AI sinks out yet. And that's where I think that even when AI does impact those things, we're still going to need humans to do other stuff. And so, being that forever learner and learning hands-on trades, I think is going to become more and more valuable. And I applaud you for just always realizing how you take everything from learning from a book or a video and how to figure out how to apply it so that you can be relevant. And I think that's a wonderful example of how you did that. Martha.
Thank you so much, Brother Chris. Is it okay? I can't really hear. Thank you so much, Brother Chris. I've actually gotten to know Brother Chris for a while. I call him Brother Chris because we go to church and we praise the Lord. Just for people that may want to know. But he also gives advice to people who may need support with their cars. And if he's not physically there, he's providing services to people. And he probably didn't even have an idea he was doing that, but virtually over the phone, he's giving people advice on what to do and where to go. So that is such a wonderful skill to have. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life, Brother Chris. Thank you. And then I also wanted to share one more thing, Felipe, before we pass it on to the next speaker. I met with Unicorn VK, and he's here with us today. He's from India. We went on a live yesterday, and he taught me something. You see why I have a banner behind me? Okay, well, this is not the fancy one, but he taught me something yesterday. He said, Martha, you need to get a banner. And I just appreciate him just telling me how to do it. He walked me through the steps, and he didn't have to do that. And it's all about helping people, just helping one another, just giving us some insights, giving us some pointers, right? So I just want to thank him, and I'm glad he's here.
No, and that's a great point. That's a skill now that you now have and you can carry. When I learned Canva years ago, I learned how to do banners, and people on LinkedIn, when I was coaching them, I helped them create their banners. When I was at work, I create my banners in the background, like, oh, how'd you do that? So I created like various ones for the company with different styles for people to choose from. The reason I bring that up is just like UK or whoever, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, did for you, Martha.
Yes.
They were showcasing their skills that provided value. And when an employer, a supervisor, an organization sees those skills, they're seeing something in you that they don't have and they need. And I think that's exciting. But again, if he hadn't approached Martha, Martha never would have known about it, never would have learned about it. So he networked and reached out and offered something that he thought would be helpful. And I think that's awesome. Every Zoom, Teams call I do, I always have a virtual background with information about me on a regular basis or when I'm speaking. So I think that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And then also the collaboration that comes out of it, right?
Yes.
I was in India and I was here in California, and I was talking to his audience last night. I mean, how amazing is that? So thank you. I'll pass it back over to our next speaker.
And I did see that there were a bunch of people going back and forth about the single tasking and multitasking.
Oh,
Here's what I will say to you, okay? Think of it this way. It's like being in a room with someone that you care about and giving them your full attention and being present. Or while they're talking to you, you're reading a book. Are you going to tell me that you're really present for both things at the same time? It's not possible. So as much as we can do it, the results and the experience is not going to be the same unless you single task it. And that's how you get the best results. That's how you get into your flow state of mind. And that's how you do your best work. Again, it doesn't mean you can't do it, but if you want your best work, single tasking is the way to do it. All right. So our next guest is Tom. Tom, I loved your background. I won't lie. It gave me Children of the Corn vibes a little bit for a minute because of the dark skies, but I love the farming background. Please tell us what you're doing today and what are your thoughts about this topic.
Well, it's a very interesting topic to say the least, and that just happens to be the orchard on my property here in the background. Apples aren't on it right now, but having a transferable skill set is very important. And going into different industries, as you mentioned, Philippe, that's a challenge in itself sometimes. But I've probably been into 8 different industries throughout my career. And as long as you have a skill set that you can transfer, you can make it work, but you still have to learn something about that new industry. Now, I've been in the courier industry for off and on 25, 30 years. So that's the industry I know the strongest. But I've always used technology since the mid 80s. So it's pertinent to actually capture that. It's when I was in college in early 2000, it was a 15-month course, basically to give you the skill set that you needed to do what you needed on the internet, as a for instance. But they only give you certain amounts of time in different programming languages. And then they ask you at the end, transfer that now into a program written in this. And you have to write a program for that test. So it kind of forms your mind and teaches you to get into that new programming language and learn what you learned from the previous language. So having that, knowing how the algorithms work, knowing how the programming is supposed to work. There's different types of programming. My key programming was internet solution development. That's what I went for. But I still learned about Java. I still learned about SQL. I still learned about database management. So having that, and having said that, you can transfer your skill set along the way as long as you maintain stability, I guess. I only say that because if you're confused with the different languages that you have to learn, you're going to go back to school every year for 2 months out of the year just to stay on top of them. I chose not to do that. I chose to wing it and just learn and teach myself something new every day about different languages. So that's what I'll add in here. It's just, and Martha's post earlier, 80-20, 80% you have to listen. 20% of the time, engage. That's how you will learn.
And listen with intent. Don't
Exactly.
listen, you know. And I love what you shared there because, you know, Tom, one of the things that I really appreciated what you shared was that you talked about learning in a group setting or learning by yourself. And I think that's an important thing that we all have to remember. Things are going to change, and they're going to probably start changing faster and faster and faster, which in one sense is going to teach us how to adapt, teach us how to learn faster. And that's not a bad thing. But today, I echo what Tom said, and I encourage you all to follow his lead in the sense of, you know, learn different ways. Learn from the books, learn from the classroom, learn from teaching yourself, learn from the resources you have because they're there and they're available, and no one's stopping you but you. That's the thing you have to remember. No one's stopping you from learning but you, or upskilling. And if you want to learn how to put on a live or how to do a banner like Martha, it's not that hard. You're making it hard by choosing not to try to learn it. So I encourage you all to try that thing that you've been waiting to learn and add that to your repertoire skills on your resume. All right. Before we go to Jay, we have our wonderful, wonderful co-host and leader, Mac, is here in the house. Mac, it's so wonderful to see you in the States. How are you today, my friend? And tell us a little bit about what you're doing today and Saturday, and let us know your thoughts about this topic since it was your topic technically.
Well, hey everybody, it's wonderful to be in the States. It's been a pretty full-on week. Joel is a machine. Trying to keep up with him is insane. But as many of you know, I struggle with still 5 years in with long COVID and chronic fatigue. So it hit me like a ton of bricks this morning, but I'm finally coming out of the brain fog. So I thought I had to just jump on and come and say hi. And, you know, one of the beauties of this topic for me was the fact that when, this whole thing started happening in my life, I needed to look at how do I do things differently. And when it comes to pivoting, a lot of people I found would almost like cut everything from their past off and start afresh and look at something totally different because they kind of wanted to give people the impression that that was all they'd ever done. And, you know, the past didn't exist. And when I started coaching people publicly with, you know, LinkedIn and becoming an authority in their space and becoming more intentional, as Felipe was saying, I found that a lot of people, when they were going through a career change or a pivot, they didn't realize that their past was a incredibly important part to the future, because that's where they learned all the stuff that they did when it comes to the skill sets and people skills and what to do, what not to do. And it gave them their reason for change. And give you a few examples. I had a few clients that had totally made massive pivot changes several years ago. And one of them was in the kind of health and nutrition space. And she had noticed that CEOs and executives in large corporate organizations were burning out, and they were crashing, and they were having breakdowns, and they were, you know, it was like, and they'd have, you know, in the, like between 40 and 50, all of a sudden they would just be struggling with massive like stress and anxiety, which led to things like heart attacks, and because they weren't looking after themselves. And she decided, you know, she's going to go and study health and nutrition. And she went and did that as a kind of a side hustle. And then when she went full time, she deleted everything on her LinkedIn and was just a health and nutritional coach, but it had no insights into her past. And when I met her, I was like, hey, so this is all you've ever done? And she went, no, I've only been doing it for about a year and a bit. And I was like, surely there was a past before this. And then it turned out that she'd been doing health and nutrition for about 20 years within the organization she was in and helping different people, and then decided to go and study this to make a bigger impact. But because she was actually in that corporate world serving the people that needed it, now all of a sudden she cut that off as past experience because she didn't want to let people know that she was one of those senior corporate people in that stress and anxiety situation. And she had told me, well, she'd pretty much given up on her side hustle because it just wasn't getting any traction. It was easy while she was in the corporate, but now that she was doing it full time, it just wasn't sustaining. And we did a bit of a revamp on her profile and literally went and put in all the past experience to show that she had 20 odd years worth of experience in corporate, working at those senior levels, understanding the stresses, understanding the long hours, all those things, and therefore went and studied nutrition and balance and diet and all these things to help those individuals have a much better quality life. And in such a short period, all of a sudden people went, I want to speak to her because she understands where I come from, as opposed to just another nutritionist or another health coach. So don't discount your past because you think it's not relevant to the next step. So I can talk about this for hours, but I just want to give that as an example. And I do believe that Joel and I are going to be doing lots of driving around over the next few days. So if you're in New York or Long Island or anywhere close by, just reach out, let us know. And who knows, maybe we'll meet up and we could always do a LinkedIn Live just randomly from somewhere else and get to know you. So, I'm massively looking forward to meeting as many Social Saturday co-host community as I can, as well as meeting loads of other people. But I'm conscious of time. I'm going to shut up and hand over to these wonderful people. And thank you so much for having me.
Well, Mac, thank you for sharing that. And I think that we should need to do another room on that topic alone about what's the value of your previous experience. Don't dismiss it. And which I think leads into a little bit of ageism too. So we might be able to do a topic around, I think, that, because there's a lot of people like, I was in hospitality for 23 years, but do I want to share that? Because I did that almost 20 years ago now. So it's one of those things where it's like, but how do I show those skills today? And I think that's an important thing for us to discuss. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So
absolutely.
Mark that down as one of my ideas there, Joel. I added another idea to our topic list.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, Felipe, because we have a lot of folks that are, this is a hot topic regarding like ageism. The older generation in the workplace. So this is a must. We need this. If we could do it next, that would be great.
Exactly. All right.
And the bias of stigmatization bias of being overqualified for a position as well too. So
yeah. So if y'all have any suggestions for topics, as always, send us a DM. We'll be happy to consider them. All right, let's get to our very patient friend Jay, who's been waiting patiently. Is our last speaker of the day. Jay, please tell us what you're doing today on the Saturday. Copper says hello, by the way. And what are your thoughts or questions on this topic? Over to you.
Yeah. Well, number one, happy Pi Day, everyone. It is March 14th. I got my eclair pie. And so on this topic of reinventing yourself, I think two things come to mind. Number one, advocating for yourself. I think that's really important. That's the number one thing that came to mind. And my number two is one way to another way to reinvent yourself without starting from scratch is look at what your skills and qualifications are, as well as what are your interests. Look at that stuff and say, okay, I have these skills, I have these tastes or interests. How can I use them to my own advantage so that I can move forward in my career? um, and again, I speak of advocacy because, I myself have said before that I advocate for people with disabilities because I myself am disabled, right? I've had this problem for about since birth. And so I look at that and I say, okay, how can I use that as a talking point when it comes to, job searching or job seeking? How can I look for the things I need so that, not only will it be accessible to me, but accessible to people in the future who can resonate with me. So I think that's really the three talking points I wanted to speak about. So I'll just end it right there. Thank you.
Well, those are great points you brought up there, Jay. Especially the advocacy, advocating for yourself. No one's going to advocate for you harder than you. And if you have people in your life that are advocating for you, that's a blessing, and that's something to be grateful for. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that's another thing to think about. I talked about confidence. I talked about curiosity, gratitude, and compassion are the other two things I want you all to think about, because you got to have gratitude for what you do have, because there's somebody out there that has less than you. But you got to be compassionate to yourself during this career pivot, because it's going to be challenging. And it's important for us to remember that with changes, things are going to be a little bit slower because you are learning or doing something new and different, and you don't want to rush through it. So I think self-advocacy is important, and also, like you said, telling your story so that's relevant to them. Again, don't tell the past story, tell today's story about how you're relevant today, not how you used to be relevant. So I love that you shared that, Jay. It's great to see Sumana in the chat down there as well. Martha, thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I have a quick question. So how would we put our past skills in our resume and our LinkedIn profile, for example?
Well, you're gonna have to tune in next week to find out more about that topic. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. And so that's a great question. And thank you for putting that out there. That was not planned, you all. So well done, Martha. All right, listen, you all. This has been a great conversation. We're gonna go around and the co-hosts are gonna share what they have coming up. And I think we definitely have our topic for next week. And our wonderful UK duo of Mac and Joel will be in the US again still, hopefully. So I think you're here for like 3 weeks, right? Okay. So we'll be talking about really what to do with those skills, how to display them on your resume or LinkedIn profile or in your interview or in your conversations and networking. And we'll touch on ageism because it's a real problem out there and people are struggling with it. So and if you want an idea of what I'm thinking right now, it's if you're feeling like you're dealing with ageism, how to talk to a recruiter who's in their 20s. Think about that. All right. So with that being said, I'll just share real quickly that on Monday, I do have the Workplace Wellness Hour with none other than Sumana Jetty, who's in the chat, and Ashley Flewellen. And we're going to be doing part 2 of our series of VUCA, which talks about the workplace and dealing with volatility, dealing with uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So this part 2 is really on the last 2, which is complexity and ambiguity. And if that resonates with you about how to deal with that when you're faced with that in the workplace or with colleagues or with clients, come join us on Monday at 8 p.m. and we'll share more of that. Otherwise, I will be back here next Saturday with this amazing crew. And wait, I'd be remiss if I did not share about the virtual wellness experience coming up on March 20th and 21st that both Martha and I are speaking at. There are tickets still available for that event. There are going to be over 15 different presenters that half of them probably you all have never met because they're not that active on LinkedIn. They're active on other platforms. And they're providing amazing insight about wellness, whether it's mental, physical, financial, personal wellness, entrepreneurs, corporate, everything. So come join that. If you want to learn more about that, you can check out Martha's page or my page, or go to the virtual wellness experience. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Martha to share what she has coming up, and then we'll go to Joel, and then Matt can wrap us up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Felipe. And I was gonna say the wellness, but you beat me to it today. We'll put the link in the comments if you'd like to join. I'm really excited about it. I will be speaking about my breakthrough. My breakdown became my breakthrough. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say now. But please, so if you can join us, I'll be on next Saturday. I do plan to be here at Social Saturday Chat. We do have the event that starts Friday and it ends Saturday. And with that, I don't have anything else coming up, but I will be on these LinkedIn streets. So check me out. I am posting regularly. Sometimes I do spontaneous videos. Thank you, Tom, for inspiring me with the beach walks. I hope you like the videos that I'm bringing spontaneously. All right, I will pass it over to Joel.
I'm on mute. Fantastic start. So yes, this week we're all over the place. So I can't really share one thing we're doing because yes, I don't think we're doing just one event. We are restarting the Fighting for the Party with a special episode, which I have only discovered last night that Mac was a film star. So we're going to start off with his entire story on Fighting for the Party. In the next few days, whenever his brain fog clears. Over to Mac.
Well,
yeah,
I wouldn't say movie star, but I've been in movies, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, folks, it's been great even for a few minutes to join all of you today. Joel and I will be posting updates of where we are and what's coming up. Joel's got a big interview coming up as well this week on Friday, but we'll let you know. That's going to be at the Donna Drake CBS studios. So that'll be interesting to listen to, and I look forward to sharing that with everybody. And then I have a little event coming up this week. I think it's on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday, Joel? No, it's Thursday, which is a milestone birthday. So if you can guess my age, put it in the comments and don't be rude. And no, it's not 21. What? 80? I look good for 80. I tell you what.
You are the Sean Connery of LinkedIn, I call you.
Oh, there you go. So I am, as something that I want to reward myself for, I really enjoy working with people that are like super experts, like amazing at what they do, but they just haven't crossed over into the world of LinkedIn for their credibility and on digital authority. So what I'm looking for this week is introductions to people that in real life that are just like incredible. They've got an amazing story. They're really good at what they're doing, but for some reason they just not. They either with the age thing say I'm too old to do digital, or LinkedIn, I just can't figure that stuff out. I want to help 5 businesses that are incredible, and they'll be getting my special birthday discount. It's the same as my age, but I won't tell you what that is. You've got to guess. So if you know anybody that's that incredible and they just need to be represented as an authority on here, please introduce me. I don't care what background they're in. I've worked with some people in very weird and wonderful backgrounds. So I want to have some fun, get to know some people from around the world, and make sure that their offline is as good as their online. Yeah, that's it. I'm looking forward to next Saturday's topic because, man, there are a lot of tough hotspots to go through there based on what we've just come up today. So we'll reschedule next week's original topic. But guys, it is Social Saturday. The sun has just come out over here in Long Island. I went out, Felipe, because I thought I was going to do a Felipe and sit outside. And then I was like, okay, no, and he needs to get a coat. Then I went back in. Then I came back out and I was like, where's the sun? And then I couldn't see the screen. I couldn't see my mouse. So I was like, I'm just coming back inside. Anyway, listen, I wish every one of you an incredible Saturday. Thank you for being part of this wonderful community. And be good to yourselves and be kind to yourselves and have a great week. Thank you all.
Thank you, friends, so much for being here with us. We'll see you next
care.
week.
Happy Saturday.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.